On today's show, is it time to shut down Luka Doncic? Sources say to Shams Charania the Mavericks are considering it. Should they? Why would they? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. Subscribe or follow for free wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know. I want your opinion. Should the Dallas Mavericks shut Luka Doncic and Kyrie down for the last 3 games?
Shut it down.
Let's go home. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. That's the Game Time app. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com. The shut down dude, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
We're almost there. 3 games left.
Who is?
3 games left. We're almost to the finish line. What a wild season this has been.
Think about where we were this time last year. We were feeling so good. We were like going into the Mavs are going to win.
No. Well, was this? Yeah. We were feeling good because this was before the Luka injury.
Yeah.
In the very last game of the season.
Yeah, April 3rd, there was a Milwaukee game. Luka was still playing. He played up until the end of the season. And so yeah, we were feeling good. We were like, they're gonna win their first round series, they're gonna match up against Utah or whoever. And now here we are. What a difference a calendar year makes. Today's show
talking trash to David Locke. Jalen Brunson carried us.
Now we're hoping the Mavericks finish with a worse record than David Locke's Jazz somehow.
Wow.
Right?
I can't crack any jokes on anybody now.
I know. On today's show, we'll get into is it time to shut Luka Doncic down? We'll talk about that, and then we'll give some more thoughts on the Mavs-Hawks game, the insanity. Isaac will share his thoughts on Luka Doncic and the Christian Wood JaVale stuff and all that. So we'll talk about that a little later. But let's start here. According to Shams Charania of The Athletic and FanDuel, partner of us and many others, he said, quote, "I'm told that the organization is seriously considering the possibility of shutting down those 3 guys." I know he mentioned Luka and Kyrie as 2 of the guys previously in what he was talking about. I don't know who the 3rd guy is. I'm guessing Tim Hardaway is my one. It's probably Dwight Powell, to be honest. I don't think it's your boy.
JaVale McGee.
But let's start here. Why would the Mavericks shut these guys down? Why are they considering this?
Man, why should they?
No, why are they? Why are they considering it?
Well, I mean, why are they considering it? Because
that is why I asked.
Well, I was expecting for you to ask, should they? And so I was like prepared to give my answer. So now I'm like kind of trying to think about the Mavs. No, I mean, you're thinking about it because you're looking at it saying, all right, this is done. Like, let's wrap up shop. We've seen enough. We don't need 3 more games to figure out, what's going on. We know what this roster looks like around the 2 guys. We know how they're responding to Jason Kidd right now. We know what this defense looks like. We still need help from OKC. You're looking at it saying, if they're not confident in winning a game in the play-in, you're like, why am I going to risk these 3 games? Lord forbid some massive injury happens to one of those guys. One of those 2 guys. I don't care who the third one is.
I don't know who the 3rd one is. It doesn't matter who it is at this point.
Yeah, and the biggest reason of all is you consider shutting it down because if you believe that you're not going to go anywhere and you're like, this just, cool, we're going to get 1 play-in game out of it, it's probably going to be on the road, then you increase your odds at keeping that 10th overall pick. And that pick, like you said multiple times on the spot, like you use that in the trade. Probably go the trade route. because they want to win now. But if not, you draft somebody, try to get them in the rotation, all that stuff. So that's the biggest thing is
That's what they're looking at. And they're looking at this team over the last stretch here and say, hey, we've been in some of these games, but we're not winning these games. And the scenarios right now, let's go over the scenarios for everybody listening at home right now. Mavericks are up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're a game back from the Thunder. They do not own the tiebreaker with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are one game back, so they have to finish with a better record than the Thunder. So over these last 3 games for both teams, the Mavericks have to finish 3-0, and then the Thunder could finish 1-2 or worse. Basically what happened, the Thunder cannot win 2 games. That's basically it. The Thunder have 3 more games. They play at the Warriors. They play at the Jazz, then home for Memphis the last game of the season, which could or could not mean anything to Memphis. The Thunder cannot win 2 more games this season. And the Mavericks also have to take care of their business. And that's where I start. Why would the Mavericks shut down Luka and Kyrie and whoever the mystery third person is it's done, like it's over. They can't take care of their own business. You look at these last couple of games, you look at some of these losses the Mavericks have had. Just go back to the Hornets losses. Like this team cannot take care of their own business, let alone scoreboard watch and start looking at some of these other teams and trying to figure out, okay, well, what's happening here and there and all that. You lose to Charlotte twice. You lose to like Memphis without John Morant 3 times. You lose to Miami that way that you did. You lose to Atlanta the way that you did. Like this team is not taking care of the business in front of them right now, and it's done. And let them. The worst thing that could happen is a player like Luka gets hurt and has to spend his whole offseason rehabbing instead of preparing, playing with his national team, all that kind of stuff. And so, like, if you're not going to really play for anything, then do that. But I want to go here. Should they? Like, what are the consequences if they decide to shut them down?
Should they? Yes. I'm in the camp that you shut it down and go home. Like, yeah, Jaden Hardy, 30 minutes a game. I think they should have shut Luka and Kyrie down probably a few games ago and go this route. And I'm just in the camp for, and that's hard for me to say. But I've just seen enough. Like, I've seen enough of this team. I've seen enough of them play basketball. I don't think there's a magic switch for them to just turn it on and figure things out defensively. I do think the Kyrie and Luka pairing deserves more time. And I think I am confident in that pairing. I still think that is a low-hanging fruit for a lot of national media people to jump on and be like, oh, this duo is a disaster and all this stuff. It's like, all right, I don't think that's the case.
They're talking.
I would love to see how they could reshape the roster around both of those guys and both those guys having more time and stuff together and all that. But it's not going to happen over 3 games, and I don't think it's going to happen in the play-in. So yeah, I think they should shut it down. Now, the con, some of the cons of doing that though is everything comes back to like what's Luka think about this?
Yeah.
What does Luka think about trading for Kyrie? What does Luka think about Jason Kidd? What is like all of that stuff you're wanting to know what your superstar is thinking. And what's Luka thinking right now? Is Luka saying, all right, I've seen enough. I've played enough. I'm worn out. I'm hurting. We're not going to go anywhere. Or is Luka in the front office's ear right now saying, no, I want to play every game and I get me into the play-in, and I don't care who we're playing with. We have a shot, and I want to make the playoffs at all costs. I don't know. I don't know what he's saying.
Coming up, I think I know what Luka would prefer. I'm gonna make my guess, and we're gonna talk about that. And then we'll talk about how do we think Kyrie would respond? What message would the Mavericks send to Kyrie if they shut him down? We'll talk about that. But before we do, let me tell you about the Game Time app. You can go and check out the Game Time app. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off right now. I've used the Game Time app to go to games and concerts and all kinds of different things. You can check it out. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over ticket and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have at something other than a Mavericks game for the last 3 games of the season. She's gone. She played the 3 nights. She's gone.
Great.
You could have got tickets on the Game Time app. So go check it out. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, all caps, one word, LOCKEDONNBA. $20 off your first purchase. So if you want to go to a concert and it's like $40, that's half off right there for you. Go check it out. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Go have some fun this summer. Go do something and think about something other than basketball. Come back to the podcast and then do something else. Do it with Game Time. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for being part of the show and listening every day. If you listen 5 days a week, you're part of the Raccoon Squad. We appreciate you. And we'll be doing this all through the offseason. For the last 3-4 years, we've been doing 5 days a week all through the offseason, where we'll break down all kinds of draft stuff. Isaac and I love to do our draft profiles. We'll bring on Richard Stamen. We'll bring on Rafael Barlow. We'll bring on the experts that know. We'll do a ton of trade stuff, a ton of free agency stuff. And so we'll be here for you 5 days a week. We appreciate all you guys to subscribe and to follow wherever you get your podcast. Podcast listen matters just as much to us, maybe more than a YouTube view, by the way, if you're curious about that. Let's keep talking about this, shutting it down for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. I think for the Mavericks, I think you would do Luka Doncic at this point in the season, at this point in how he feels about life and about how he has expressed where he is right now. I think it would be a service to Luka Doncic if the team came out and was the human meat shield between him and the rest of this season. It's only 3 games, but if the team comes in and says, we're shutting him down, it's our decision. And Luka's like, hey, they made the choice to shut me down. I think we'd be doing a service to him because I think he's not having fun right now. We've heard it from him. He said there's not joy in this. I'm the most frustrated I've been. You heard him after certain games. You've heard him talk about this. I think that they would be helping him to just kind of put this season out of its misery for him, to give him that excuse or give him that reason to, all right, just let your guard down. Because he's going to go out there and compete. No matter who's out there, he's going to go out there and compete. He's going to try hard. He's going to put, himself through this. And all that. I'm talking about it like it's torture. It's three more NBA games, but it kind of feels like that for us though. And so I think that they would be doing a service. Now, that's what I think. Would you agree that that's how Luka would feel about this, or do you think that he would be upset if they shut him down because he still believes that this team could still make the play and win against anybody, whatever else?
I think both could be true. I mean, I think he is a super competitive guy. And I think he is the type that's like, dude, put him out there with me, Tim Cato and Tim McMahon. And he's like, I can win a playoff series. And so, I mean, heck, he's almost done it. So that's the type of dude he is, but you couldn't convince me, considering everything that's going on right now of just what the team and him answering that question about not having fun and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You could not convince me that Luka hasn't thought about having an extra 2 months off. Because we went to San Francisco for the Western Conference Finals in mid-April last year, or not mid-April, like mid-May.
Yeah, it was mid-May
last year, somewhere through there. So, I mean, you can't tell me that the idea of being in Croatia in a week and a half isn't appealing to him right now, considering everything that's been going on. So, and if they did do that, would that not be like a turning point of his career, early in his career, of all right, the one off season I had, the one off year that we didn't make anything, and I had the most downtime ever. This was the off season. I figured things out for me, my life, happiness, shape, all that stuff. That, I mean, I could totally see a Luka come to training camp that fall and it's like, all right, those extra months off were huge for me.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see his response. We'll talk about that a lot this offseason, about how Luka will respond and all that. But let's talk about Kyrie. What message does this send to Kyrie if the Mavericks go to Kyrie and say, hey, we're going to shut it down? He's dealing with, Shams Charania had called it out, said plantar fasciitis. I don't know if I've heard that specific diagnosis be used, but we know he's been doing with a foot thing. We know he's been fighting through it, and I don't think he's having the most fun he's ever had playing basketball either at this point. He's going out there and being a professional and all
he's
that.
He's playing through pain. He's playing, I mean,
and
to what you're talking about, like, and he's battling through it.
Playing through pain, battling, scoring 40, like doing all that. He's been great. We've mentioned this several times, but if you haven't heard us, that he's not been the problem in all this. Unless you just think his sheer presence is causing the Mavericks to be bad, then that's the only reason why it would be. What message would the Mavericks send to him, though, if they say, hey, we're going to shut you down for the last 3 games?
Well, I mean, I think he would understand it. I don't think there's nothing that you're going to do over these final 3 games to, like, change any decision. You know, it's not, I don't think it would be like, I don't know, I was going to for sure resign with y'all, but because you're going to give me another 3 games off and more time in the offseason, then I don't know, I'm going to take free agent visits. I think he's still going to take free agent visits. Yeah. I think all of that's still going to happen. I don't think you're going to change. I mean, he's been here for a bit, so I don't think you're going to change a ton over these final 3 games unless he is in the camp of like, dude, we can flip the switch and, you know, win some playing to stuff and get into the playoffs and all that. Because I mean, that's the other side of this, right? Like, that's the other side. If you're listening to saying, well, why? Like,
what's the downside?
If it's so obvious for them to shut them down, why would they not? Why would they still go all out? And you go all out and you keep them playing if you believe that they have that they have that potential still. If you are holding true to the fact of just get us into the play-in. And anything can happen because we could have arguably the 2 best players in the play-in. Of like, I mean, you could look at SGA, you could look at some of these other teams there in the play-in, like, but like peak Kyrie, peak Luka, you know, as far as like if they're healthy and all of that in a play-in, and it's like if you sit there and talk yourself into that and saying, okay, yeah, and then who would we play in the first round?
Say you play Minnesota and New Orleans in your play-in games potentially. And then you come out of that. Well, if the Mavericks make 10, then they would play Denver. But
I know, but even that, it's like that's your argument behind all of this, though. Is man, the West is, and that's one of the most unfortunate things about all of this. I mean, we're going to talk about why this season was such a disaster on all accounts. But one of the like most
have we not at this point?
I don't know, but yeah, when this thing is like over, it's going to be is the fact that the West is so wide open. The fact that there are all these people talking themselves into the Lakers like winning the title now just tells you how wide open the Western Conference is. And it's like, dang, if we could just put some stuff together, like here it is. Like so that's what I'm saying. It's like, are you saying it's impossible to beat Denver in a first round playoff season? I'm not saying it's impossible to beat them, but it's like, it's going to be really hard. I mean, they're number 1 seed for a reason. So that's what you're trying to tell yourself. And also the fact of, okay, well, we're not guaranteed the pick either. Like if we did shut everybody down, there's still a chance that we land at 11th or 12th. And it's like, well, crap, we didn't even try for the play-in and we didn't get the pick. Well, this sucks. Like, you know, that's another reason why I could see him saying, well, screw it. Like, we're just going to go for the play-in. Now, I think it's really intriguing to think about out of the 5 of, let's say, Mark, Nico, Kid, Luka, Kyrie, who are the people in that group that's saying go all in?
Coming up, let's answer that question. Who is saying shut it down in the Mavs organization? Who is not? We'll say who we think coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetterHelp. BetterHelp is something that I think everybody needs, especially if you don't have a therapist, if you're not talking to somebody about your daily life. I recently went on a family vacation and I came back and talked to my therapist about it. It's so nice to be able to talk about just things that went down, small things with your family. It doesn't have to be huge, massive drama that you see on TV. You have everyday things that you need to talk about with somebody that could just sit and listen and ask you good questions and all that. BetterHelp has you covered for that. It's therapy. If you're thinking about getting started with therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suitable to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. They even have different therapists that can match different things. In my life, I had religious things I needed to talk about, but I didn't want to talk to somebody that came from a religious background. So I found somebody like that on BetterHelp. I was able to talk to them. It was great. Go check it out at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Isaac Harris. Who in the Mavericks organization is calling for a shut it down, or who is calling for it, hey, we got to go for it? Let's start with so we've talked about Luka, we've talked about Kyrie. They're probably both like, hey, we'll keep going for this as long as you guys think. That I feel like that's what they're kind of a shrug.
Thing. We'll go for as long if you think it, but if you want to shut us down, we're cool with it.
We'll be okay with that too. Like we'll take the excuse. Jason Kidd. Let's get with them.
I'm not playing. I'm watching, just like you guys.
Do you think he wants them to shut it down, or do you think he is like, let's go for it?
He's got to be like, go for it, right? Even though he's like, dude, I'm trying everything in the world right now. He's got to say go for it, because if they miss, like, people are already going to be calling for his head this offseason.
Isaac, if they miss, like,
no one's dying.
God, you're so excited about that one. That was good, though. That was really good.
Do you think I was really annoyed with you?
No. I'm waiting for this like big point you're going to make. I was like, oh, what did I miss? I mean, he has to be one of them that's like, no, let's do it. Like, let me get into a play-in, and we got these guys, because it would at least help his, like, there's mixed stuff on like what his job security is and all that, but it would at least like help their, I don't know, whatever.
Externally, he of course would want them to keep going for it. Mm-hmm. Internally, I think he has thought that this team is done for the last month. I'm gonna keep.
It's like, I swear, if I have to put Christian Wood back in the game, there's no way.
He's like, if I have to watch a Jaden Hardy, Christian Wood pick and roll defense one more time, I'm gonna like put a screwdriver in my eyes.
On a side note, I know we're not. We're gonna keep talking.
We're not gonna make it to the Hawks thoughts. It's fine. This is
on
a bigger
side
deal.
note to Jason Kidd. I thought it was hilarious, the fact that JaVale plays all these minutes, and then there's a portion of fans that are like, Jason Kidd's dumb because he hasn't played JaVale McGee all season. I'm like, have y'all not watched JaVale this season?
It took him till April to play JaVale McGee.
Listen, I ate so much crow on the JaVale McGee signing. I was all about it. But it didn't take me very long to change up my stance and be like, yeah, this is horrible. Like,
and then you thought Jason Kidd was too late on it, and he still hooked him in like the first 10 games.
It's just funny that it was just like, I got on the Twitter world last night a little bit, and it's like, Jason Kidd's dumb because he hasn't played JaVale. I'm like, whoa.
JaVale McGee.
Anyway, okay, Nico. I think Nico is in the camp of shut it down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for his job, if you think about how much easier it would make his job, he doesn't, I don't know. Well, okay, asset-wise, of course you want that top 10 pick. And I've seen a couple people say, well, you don't want the pick this year because then you can't trade 2 in the offseason. Well, if you get the top 10 pick, that's a much better pick than if you like the 2 down the road. And you can still trade 2. You just have to trade the 1 this year on draft night after you draft a player, which has happened a bunch of times. That's how the Mavs got Luka. So, like, yes, they will be able to trade 2 even if they keep the pick this year. But for Nico Harrison, he knows about the conversations with Kyrie. He may know. He knows better than anybody right now where Kyrie is right now as far as, well, if they shut him down, does he think the organization doesn't believe in them? Then all of a sudden he's like, well, they didn't even believe we can make the play-in last year, and so then they shut us down. Or if they miss the thing entirely, he may know that Kyrie is like, well, all Nico Harrison's decisions have to do with, will Kyrie resign or not? Right? Like, if he's making a decision like this,
I would say keep Luka happy first, and then it's Kyrie resign. I'd say that's the top priority, is keep.
At least he has Luka signed.
True, but everybody knows the clock's ticking. So
yeah, for sure.
Mark Cuban definitely wants to keep playing.
Yeah, he's like protesting games still.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not saying that like that's a lock, whatever. I'm just saying if we have to guess, I'm saying Mark Cuban is saying like, let's play this thing. Like, I want my team in the play-in. I don't want the embarrassment of missing the play-in and all that stuff.
Yes.
Like, let's get some money. Let's do a play-in. They have a shot. We have Luka and Kyrie. Like, yeah.
He cares about that more than Jason Kidd does, the embarrassment factor.
Does Jason Kidd care about anything? Like,
No one's dying.
I don't know. He won't tell us.
well, he does. You just don't know if it's the truth or not.
I don't always tell you guys the truth.
I had that one ready to go.
No,
But yeah,
I think Mark's the easiest answer of this.
Mark Cuban wants him to play. Former guest, friend of the pod, I guess. Do we call him friend of the pod?
And honestly, if I had to power rank in any other season or like situation, I would say Luka's a close second. That like Luka would be the one like there's no way you're gonna convince him to shut it down. But just reading all the tea leaves and some of these quotes and talking to people and just like where he's at, and it's just like I just think he'd be more down for it now than ever before.
Yeah,
most of you are listening to this on a Tuesday. If there was a report that came out on Tuesday, it's like breaking news: Dallas is shutting down Luka for the final 3 games. Luka and Kyrie's plantar fasciitis, Luka stuff, and
knee, ankle, thigh, etc.
Yeah, and stuff like that, and it wouldn't shock me.
No, me either. I think what they're gonna do is, let's talk about what I think is actually gonna happen now. I think they're gonna wait until Tuesday. If you're listening to this, watching this on Tuesday, Thunder and Warriors play. If the Thunder beat the Warriors, there's the possibility of the Mavericks making the play-in is very, very slow. They literally have to go 3-0, and the Thunder would have to lose their last 2 games to Utah and Memphis. So just your odds become so much more so much smaller at that point. But if they lose to the Warriors, then it's still open for you. So yeah, I think they'll see what happens with that game and then decide.
I think the most likely path that this will all take, if we're having to guess.
Yeah.
Warriors win at home against OKC.
For sure.
Dallas plays all their guys against Sacramento.
Yeah.
They lose against Sacramento. And then they shut it down for the Bulls and Spurs games. Because one thing to think about too with the Bulls and Spurs stuff, one, the Spurs last game on Sunday, they could already have a top 3, 3 worst record clinched. So for them, it might not matter if they win or lose, since the flatten odds and all that.
I don't know if it matters if the Spurs want to win or lose.
I know, but still, I'm just saying. There's the worst team in the NBA. There's a chance though that they could just want to win, and it's hey, let's play really hard. It doesn't matter if we lose or not. It won't affect our ping pong balls.
Do they have guys to sit?
They almost beat us not too long ago. So
I'm not saying the Mavs are better than them.
They would complete. They are the only team that in the bottom 10 teams that have not beaten the Mavs after they lost to the Hornets. But another thing with Chicago is Chicago doesn't own their pick. Chicago's pick goes to Orlando unless it falls within top 3 or top 4. So they could be trying to lose to get better odds to move up into the top 4 lottery night or whatever. But that might affect some things with Chicago. I mean, they had a big win the other night. But the 2 teams that you're watching the most, if you're in the camp of wanting to keep the pick, you're watching Utah and Chicago right now saying, hey, can y'all win a game or 2 more?
Chicago has gotten 2 wins recently against Charlotte and the one against Memphis. That was a big win that is why the Mavericks are in this situation at all, to still keep their pick. We could still be talking about the 80% versus 9%.
Yeah. And you're we always make jokes about how it's so dangerous to try to predict wins or losses, right? Over this last week, it's nearly impossible because
yes,
teams are angling for stuff, both draft position stuff and also playoff seeding stuff. I mean, we already heard, I think it was the Draymond Warriors stuff where they talk about wanting Sacramento, different teams are going to want Sacramento and all of that. What will the Clippers do? So some of these wins and losses of oh, that team's playing this really good team. It's well, that really good team might be setting people. So it could be, good luck trying to guess it and figure it out.
So we're gonna do that tomorrow on tomorrow's show. We'll predict all the. We'll talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about the the rest. We'll talk about the rest of the season. What the Mavericks are gonna do. We'll know if the Thunder or Warriors have won at that point, and we'll figure out what's going on with the rest of the season. So come back tomorrow, guys. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Go listen. Make your second listen day Locked On NBA Big Board. Rafael Barlow, Leaf Tulane, Richard Stamen doing great stuff. Sam Ferris doing great stuff on the draft, and it's gonna become very relevant to us very very soon. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Nope.
Boom.